Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Criterion Connection. I'm Wade,
And I'm Joe.
and we're here to talk about 1966 Satyajit Ray's The Hero. It is from India, Bengalian language, starring Uttam Kumar, and I think it's Sharmila Tagore. Yeah, it's Tagore. Yes. And a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
But it's mostly the two. It's about they call it a matinee idol, but it's mostly in English.
He's a movie star.
He's a movie star, yes. An actor and a director, I believe.
He was so what we find out is that he started in plays.
Yes, he was a theater actor.
And then he moved into film acting, and I think because of his success, he's also, because he wields so much power, it's almost like as if he was a producer as well, like being able to make decisions and say like, yeah, I want her to be in the movie, or I want him in the movie, or I don't want him. Yeah, he's just kind of got.
He's a famous actor, and I believe he's going to. Was it Calcutta? He's going to?
No, Delhi.
Delhi. That's right.
He's going to Delhi to receive like a big national award. Yeah. And we basically just follow him on his journey on a train to Delhi to receive the award, and we just see kind of over the course of the ride him interacting with people and like confronting not just them and like dealing with them, but also verbalizing and talking about some of his life and like some of the struggles he's dealt with, some of the problems he's had to deal with, as well as some of the successes he's had.
And he's also, like, that morning there was a big scandal. He got in a fight.
Yeah, he was in a brawl.
A brawl, yes. And it's mostly just that, but it's a little bit more. It's very introspective. And apparently Uttam Kumar, who plays, I wrote the name down. I keep forgetting the main character's name. It's Ali Dam. He's actually a real actor, a big actor. And so I feel like the reason why the character feels authentic is because he's authentic. Yeah. And it takes his experiences and puts it into the performance. And he's really good in it.
Spoiler alert, everybody's really good.
Yes. Especially Shamila Tagore, who plays the young reporter. I forget the character's name, but she is. What's important about her is he opens up to her.
Yeah,
she doesn't care for him as a celebrity.
Yeah, she has an incredible charisma on screen that you're just kind of drawn to. Your eyes are always drawn to her. She's also one of the few people, the few women that has glasses, which helps kind of define her character and like helps kind of, it's easier to kind of identify her silhouette even. Yeah. But whenever she's on screen, it's so easy for the audience to kind of look her way, and it's just kind of perfect casting, great performance.
And you can see
same thing with the lead, the male lead, where he's on screen and he just kind of commands your attention. He's got a great presence on screen.
Yeah, he's really good, and she draws him in just as she draws us in. And what's great about her character is, and I think what resonates to him is she's looking at him as a human being.
She's very objective.
I'm a human being, he's the Elephant Man in his sense, I guess. But he's extremely good looking, so I guess he's not the Elephant Man. But she's looking at him as a human being, and everyone else looks at him. Everyone that's in his life right now looks at him like he is an asset. Not even human, just like he's a star, or they can get something out of him. They'll get an autographed album, or maybe get a role in acting or something like that. But she's looking at him as like a human. Yeah. And
she looks at it. She's like, yeah, I've seen like a couple of your movies. Like, they're not great. Like, it's just, and she's coming very honest, and it's really refreshing for him.
Yeah, and he opens up to her because you go through his life, and he has a lot of people that kind of warned him or tried steering him in different directions. You have the play, the theater mentor that dies.
Yeah.
And then you had the old actor
who basically feels threatened by him and tries to kind of steer him. Like, I don't want to say gives him bad advice, but it was outdated advice at the time, like, because he's kind of new and progressive.
The old generation.
Yeah, and he's giving him advice based on what his experiences were. But in his mind, he's like, that old guy is trying to keep me down. He's threatened by me. And the way things turn out, I mean, he's kind of right, where he becomes really successful and the old guy kind of fades into obscurity and into addiction.
Yeah, and also you had his other friend, is it Baelish or Bearish or whatever? His childhood friend who was an activist.
Yeah.
And used kind of like, was getting big off of being an activist and not through acting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe use your charisma, maybe use your acting ability. Maybe why don't you use that for a greater good?
Yeah, he wanted him to give a speech and kind of rally people.
And he chose stardom, so that's why he opens up to the reporter, because she pushes him. That's the main thing. The other people pushed him. No one else pushes him anymore, really. She pushes him to get it out of him, pretty much. And it's great that it's the train that's on a train, because it just symbolizes, you know, the train to stardom, the train of life, essentially. It's always on the go. You meet people on the way, but and there's even a point where, like, he gets really drunk and he's looking outside the train. He sees the train tracks going by, and maybe I can get off this train, get off the rails. You know what I mean? The rails of life. And you're like, man, that's so deep. And also, like, the dream sequences are very, you can see a lot of inspiration of 8.5. A lot of people say there's 8.5 elements to this, and I can see it a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is better than 8.5.
I'm gonna be controversial and agree with you here.
Yeah, I think it's better than 8.5. This is a much, to me, like, the
less abstract.
The idea of this story, and I think it's more relatable. I think it's more poignant a lot of the time than 8.5 was when we watched it. And I think I can, and we're probably going to gush about this movie quite a lot, where the direction and composition of shots, like how
it's subtle, but like it's perfect.
How great Ray is at kind of taking relatively what could be easily shot for coverage is super uninteresting, and he does little things to make it interesting, whether it's changing the angle of, like, having one actor, they're not looking at each other, but they're both in frame. One's kind of in the middle ground, one's in the close up, and just, like, looking at, the eye lines aren't matching, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
I notice how a lot of the shots and composition, like, they remind me a lot of, like, those big premiere, like, Western, as in, like, European and American directors. And a lot of the big greats of, like, Golden Age Hollywood even. And it just reminded me of a lot of that, and, like, it's just great writing. It's, very thoughtful, and everything's so deliberately done in this film. It's to me, like, what people think of 8.5 from Fellini being kind of a major, like, treatise on film, I think of this film for that.
There's even a moment, like I mentioned, the dream sequences, like, they feel, when you're in a dream and it feels like it's real life, but there's a surrealistic piece to it.
It's very,
but it feels like an actual dream where like sometimes they go a little too far into the surreal dreamlike to where it's so grounded in reality, but there's little elements, maybe not the brawl scene, but like there's little elements that make it seem a little grounded.
Yeah,
into surrealism.
It reminds me of like Orpheus.
Yes,
and it reminds me of like Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
Those French kind of classics, and like that's what I'm saying. Like he pulls from these things and creates something so interesting on its own. And I do really love the dream sequences, and I do love all of those like small interactions that we see. Some of the smaller stories, you know, the advertising guy who's trying to, you know, secure this deal, and that guy is sitting there hitting on his wife, but like telling her like you can do so much more, and like getting under his skin. And then you have the old man who's like, I hate film by principle. And there's all of these really interesting characters. There's the sick girl who really loves our lead actor, and he, in talking about these things in a very honest and like kind of human way with the reporter, he's able to kind of also process. It's a therapy session on this train with somebody who's not necessarily judging him, but allowing him
an outsider,
that freedom to kind of unload this stuff and kind of think about it.
And he's not even unloading like biographical stuff, more of like, it's like a biographical through the art form.
Yeah.
That he's in. Not just like, oh yeah, my parents, died, and I was with my uncle. We know about that. But the little small stories about what grew him as an artist and what led him down this path.
Yeah.
Is where like the real meat and potatoes are that the average interviewer is not getting.
Yeah. Because
they treat him like he is just a star.
Yeah.
I'm interested in more of the stuff of his.
This is my first Ray movie. I've heard his name. Yeah. I'll put like some of those in the watch list, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Well, and this is such a revelation. Like, this is what's great about this show. We end up finding these people.
Yeah.
And I think
like a Mike Lee or something, we just discover people. Yeah. They're like, wow.
Yeah. Well, we don't discover for everybody, but we discover for ourselves for the first time. You know, we finally give ourselves a license to kind of dabble in these.
No, we discovered Satyajit Ray. We discovered him.
But
YouTube.
You see why they gave him, one of those like lifetime achievement, like Academy Awards
that he got on a train to go get.
But this really is fantastic, and it's super accessible for us growing up, with Western, like American and like even European films kind of in our main kind of realm. This is super accessible, super easy to kind of get into.
So I'm just gonna skip the question because I'm going to say that both of us recommend this film to the general audience.
Yeah.
We both really like this film. What's another Satyajit Ray film that we should do? Is there any more in the Criterion Collection? I'm pretty sure there's a couple. There is.
There is. I don't have the titles on.
Yeah. Let us know if we should do more. What are other Bengali language films that we have not done? Because the reason why I chose The Hero is because we haven't really done films from like India and stuff like that. Like, let's try something different. So I'm down to do some more. What's another country we have not really dabbled in that have a movie in the Criterion Collection that we have not watched yet? Comment, like, subscribe, and share. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Condish Productions, Letterboxd. That is just Letterboxd. You go to Criterion Connection, not collection. Criterion Connection, and you'll see all the movies we've done. So until next time, I'm Wade.
And I'm still Joe.
I mean, we'll see you later.